podcast
with Gavin and Craig, and we've got a brand new episode, a worst than, better than, less than, greater than,
less
equals,
than, or
less,
equal to.
equal.
That's
Yes.
a math thing, right?
It's all about expectations.
Yeah, I remember that from math class with the little Pac-Mans that you make in there, and they eat the bigger number. Greater than always eats the bigger number?
As a kid, I could not get it. It was confusing me, and my mom finally got tired of it, and she was like, look, it's the same symbol. It's just flipped. So the open end is always towards the bigger number.
Yeah.
So I think of it that way to this day.
Yeah.
Like, people always say about the crocodile.
Crocodile, Pac-Man eats
and act like it's two different symbols. It just flips over.
It's just the same thing.
Yeah.
Or
Thanks,
equal
Mom.
to. Yeah. Sometimes moms just gotta set shit straight.
They're like, look, this is dumb. Never going to need this.
Yes. Well, what does that pertain to this? People are probably already confused. What are we talking about?
Talk about
Things that are...
that sort of exceed expectations, that are not as good as you remember them being, that were better than you hoped they would be,
or worse than
like
they started out to be. So there are things that are now greater than we thought they were, and things that are less than we thought they were.
Yes.
We didn't do an or equal to.
No,
that'd be pretty boring. Like,
that's right.
This movie was exactly what I thought it would be.
I thought it was going to be okay, and it was okay.
Do you find, this was like, because the initial topic, we bounced back and forth. I was like, initially it was like, down, yes, totally. There's so many things, because you listen to an old album or something, and you're like, this is better than I remembered it being. Or, this is worse than I thought it'd be. It's like, there's a lot of that in between, but then I felt like, as I get older, there's a lot of things that just aren't as good, or aren't as good as I think that they'll be.
Yeah.
More like new stuff, like not so many disappointments of childhood or anything, but like you go to a movie and you're like, it's not as good as I thought it would be.
I find that the older I get, it's more that like I just don't care enough to really hate things anymore. Like you watch it and it's not as good as you hope to be, but you're just kind of like, whatever.
Is it that things aren't as good now, or is it that we've seen it all? We've
just seen it all.
Because it's hard as a kid. You get real impressed with things, and you cry
and I think
maybe not crying. I do that all the time now as an old man, but things move you more sincerely.
Yeah, I think you can have like a more sort of deep or pure love, and probably hate maybe for things when you're like you can. Like, I don't love anything in the way that I love Star Wars or the way that I love comic books. And I still have those residual things in there. But I think when you start to add kind of the perspective of years to it, and then you can look back at it. This is why the prequels, the Star Wars prequels, were always doomed to fail.
They were never gonna.
There was no. I mean, they are legitimately not good movies, but they also were always going to fail to live up to
because you're not
our generation's hopes.
You're not going to be playing that on the playground as a 28-year-old man or whatever, however old we were those times, So.
I mean, some would.
I guess.
We're not those guys. We're not LARPers.
We're not LARPers. We're pretty nerdy, but we're not. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty cool.
Give us some credit.
But nerdy.
But we got a few things that we thought fit that bill, well, and it was tough because like all these where you start to overanalyze it too much, and it was like, well. We're talking serious disappointments, because I thought like even talking like something that isn't as good as I remembered it being would come off as a knock towards like say a band in particular. So I specifically didn't choose any albums, because there are plenty of albums where I'm like, it's not as good as like the earlier stuff or something. You feel like you're just bashing the whole band at that point when you're all like, that album they put out a couple years ago isn't as good as something else that I love. And it's like, well, we can't just bash a whole band because of that, So I don't know. So we tried to stick to TV shows and movies. I think it's weird that they kind of lined up similar choices on both of ours. So we got 2 TV shows, 2 movies, and drinks of choice to cap it off as we talk to you fine people tonight or today. And so we run down the table of contents.
Let's do it. I Should we tell which is which, or I guess we probably should, huh?
Yeah.
So my less than, my not as good as my memory was the A-Team. I assigned a specific episode, the one that sort of stands out in my mind the most clearly. And we can get into the details of that later. And your less than.
Mine is the whole series of Tales from the Crypt, HBO. I didn't jot the year down for once, but I feel like it was late 80s.
88 or 89 through 90. It was longer than I thought, like 95 or 96.
But yeah, those ones they showed on HBO, and still have a charm, but boy, I loved them at the time, and rewatching them, they're pretty dreadful, I thought. But we'll see. So that one didn't quite hold up for me, but what about movies? Which
my better than expected is a movie called Music and Lyrics, starring Hugh Grant and Drew Barrymore.
What? That movie should be horrible.
I know. And most people listening probably will think that it is.
And it's something to keep in mind as we're, I don't know, we'll talk about it. It's not saying that this is great. We're just saying it's a hell of a lot better than you would think it would be.
Yeah, I had
maybe not a hell of a lot better, but just a little better than you think. So it's cool that we both chose movies for our better thans. My better than was 10 Cloverfield Lane. Fairly recent movie. Didn't write the year down for that either, but I felt like maybe last 2 or 3 years, maybe.
Last several, yeah. John Goodman.
And that movie, I went into thinking it would be a total piece of crap. And it was a little better than I thought it would be, so for whatever reason. And we kept, and maybe our drinks are still, the verdict is out. We're revisiting them right now. So, what you drinking tonight?
A White Russian.
Oh, just in general.
Just
But a classy White Russian, too. You got some good materials over there.
I got a little Grey Goose and some Kahlua and some whole milk. Because there's no way I wouldn't throw up if I used cream.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's one. Some people love it. Some people hate it. And you thinking, as of now, a little better than you?
A little better than when I first tried it. It was better than I had feared. Not a big liquor drinker guy, and it was surprisingly tasty. I just had the first one. It occurred to me on the ride over that I actually haven't had them in a long time. So it could easily develop into or morph in front of your very ears.
You said throwing up like milky chunks.
Into a worse than. But the first one went down real well. And it was not bad at all. So.
Yeah. And my better than you would think is the $5.95 is usually the going price for this bottle of red wine, this Merlot from Rex Goliath. Classy. Winner of 65 gold medals.
And 80,000 silver medals.
And this one I'm definitely taking the approach that this is garbage wine. And there's no mistake in it. But when you drink it, it doesn't taste that bad, Maybe
it's got a rooster on the bottle.
And there's a lot of tactics to make sure that it goes down well. So I'll go into strategies. But
first, you start with a tablespoon of peanut butter.
And then you drink the first half of the bottle. We'll see. But so that's what we're drinking. So I've got a mix of some, I had a White Russian before we started, and a glass of Rex Goliath. So I'm not sure what's going to happen in my stomach.
There's a tale from the crypt developing in your stomach.
You need to cut above the rest. Should we start there?
Let's
Tales
do it.
From the Crypt?
Tales from the Crypt.
Goes back, man. That's childhood memories. And then they would do the marathons on Halloween.
Oh yeah,
that was like the gold mine, and we would tape them with VHS every episode. So we had the whole season of whatever it was that they were showing, starting. That would be like my Halloween around middle school age, I guess, and just loved them. For some reason, I thought they're so clever and so fucking genius. And the puppet was awesome. So it was just sometimes I'd recognize the stars, and they're gory. They were kind of scandalous, and there's HBO, so you could curse, a little sexy, a little bloody and gory. But I'm not a horror dude, as you've heard by this point on the horror episode. Normally not my thing, and actually both my choices kind of fit into a horror. But anyway, revisiting them. What'd you think? I won't even take it in my opinion now.
I mean, I didn't see all of them or tape them and that sort of thing, but I was definitely aware of them and would catch them when I could, because we did have HBO at the time. And I remember, like, in my head, I remember them being like kind of scandalous, maybe. And like,
definitely some more than others. I think they take different approaches from episode to episode.
They're very campy, as it turns out. And I remember them. I mean, you can't remember the Crypt Keeper puppet and his little sort of framing, scenes before and after, and not remember it being sort of camp. But I remember the episodes themselves, the stories themselves, being sort of more horror, like straight horror, with those sort of funny scenes at the beginning and the end. And they're over the top. I mean, I remember the Crypt Keeper kind of being funny, and then the story being usually something horrific, like dude with conjoined twin in his chest getting stabbed to death, whatever. I mean, just something horrible. And I didn't watch the whole disc. I watched 3 of them.
So season 1, is that what I lent you? Season 1 on the disc?
1.
Yeah, I actually went in order. I wasn't sure, so we didn't quite match up which ones we watched, I think. But so which ones did you watch?
I watched Lover Come Hack to Me.
Okay.
Episode 5. Let's see. Collection completed and Dig That Cat, He's Real Gone, starring Joey Pants of Goonies fame, one of the Fratellis. Also in The Fugitive.
Okay, the Italian dude one?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't watch either of those two, so they're a little rusty. But I watched the first 2 of the series. The first one about the executioner guy, and then the second one's about an evil Santa Claus, like, escaped lunatic.
Yeah, that one I remember watching specifically, so I skipped it. Oh, I remembered it from childhood.
That one's weird. Goonies crossover there. It's the Goonies mom, I think, the blonde chick. That's and it seems like everything that we watch for some reason. I think in some of our deleted earlier episodes that we attempted, she was in Scrooged, maybe.
She was in Scrooged, yeah.
She's the main one in this, but kind of going back to what you were saying with the idea of like super campy, and like even though a lot of times they had like creditable actors, like Leah Thompson's in one, and Demi Moore was in one of the early season ones, and they were just like notoriously overacting and like bad, like bad acting, but like almost like it's intentional because it's just like goofy horror stuff, And
the sets look like, very much like sets.
You
can tell there's no front wall on what you're seeing. Yeah.
So it's weird, but it's like kind of awesome at the same time. I don't know. It's like
they have like very cool sort of creepy beats in them. Like all 3 that I watched. The what is it? Lover Come Hack to Me. There's really no need to detail the plot, but this woman gets married and murders her new husband, just as her mother did her father, years before. And there's this one image where she has hacked the husband to death on the wedding night. And she's just completely covered in blood. She's like kissing his hacked up corpse, and blood is like dripping off of her face and her lips. That was pretty creepy.
Yeah, they did take it there because it's all goofy, and then it'll just get like totally covered in blood and hacking somebody up. And...
The dude who plays the husband in it has this raging mullet, and at one point he's wearing like a trench coat, and he's just like the super V, I mean, like narrow waist cinch thing, and then shoulder pads for days. Like B. Arthur would be jealous of these things. Oh my God, he was terrible.
Was there any? So, what was your takeaway? Would you agree with me, or were you like, "This is pretty rad, man"? What are you talking about?
I think they would hold up as fun.
Yeah.
They do not hold up as what I remembered them being, because I did remember. Like the Santa Claus one, I remember really being horrifying for some reason.
And it was more scary, but they still took the goofy angle with it. But then it was weird because I remember them all having like kind of like Twilight Zone, Black Mirror twist or something, like more of a twist.
Yeah.
Both the ones I rewatched, it was like no twist at all. It was like the first one's just an executioner, and he gets like laid off or fired. He's like an electric chair operator, and then he becomes like a Dexter type dude where he just finds people that deserve to be killed that got off and he kills them. But then something happens at like a nightclub where they catch him trying to kill somebody and then he gets the electric chair. So that's kind of the twist.
That's the twist.
The killer gets killed. And then like the Santa Claus one, he's just like breaks out. She murders her husband at the beginning of the episode, and then they get wind of this murder, and she tries to pin it on him, basically. But then at the end, he just breaks into the house, and he's like, "Raw!" and they just scream for like 5 minutes straight. And it's like, that's not a twist. Like, it just doesn't end. They just never wrote an ending to this sketch. They almost feel like sketch comedy, too.
They do, yeah. They seem very much like they just like got together for a week and adapted, like the comic books they're based on had some of that sort of pun-based humor and stuff then they had a similar sort of framing device where the Crypt Keeper would announce the story as sort of the all-knowing, all-seeing narrator. But the stories that were typically sort of straightforward horror, I mean, they got comics banned in a lot of houses. And I mean, and they just have like this one collection completed. At the end, this dude is just retired, and his wife is a crazy cat lady, and he ends up just flipping out, and he starts to like taxidermy her cats and pets and stuff, and so he ends up taxidermy by her.
I think I remember that one.
And he looks pretty gruesome at the end. There's a picture.
Yeah, is that him there?
Yeah, there's a picture on the jacket for the
We'll post the picture in the Facebook.
Yeah, the DVDs, and that's the one. Like I watched 3 episodes looking for that because it's like I got to know what that is, and that is like sort of disturbingly cartoonishly weird and creepy, but you see it for almost no time at all.
Yeah.
So, like, there's very little that actually happens or goes on, and it's not very horrific.
Yeah. A good saving grace for these is that they're only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They're real short, like, just plow through it, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, because if it's dragged on for like 45 minutes or an hour, it'd be real stupid.
Oh my God. And
or maybe it would be more time for them to actually write an ending or a twist or something.
They did do, I think there were some movies that came out off the back of this. I mean, they were real successful.
Yeah. Do you think it's safe to say in my opinion, as a kid, and probably now, just a whole episode of The Crypt Keeper would have been way cooler. Like a Muppet show of like a horror Muppet show.
That would be awesome.
I would watch that now. So,
Man,
The Crypt Keeper.
If I remember correctly, they did spin off like a kids' cartoon show.
Really?
But
I do remember seeing like a cartoon
because I think he was too scary.
Yeah. Huh. But I think it definitely appeals to a younger audience too. Like me being a middle school age child, I loved it. I thought it was just like goofy enough, but not over the top gore. And I was like, maybe if you're lucky, you can see something that you probably shouldn't be seeing on HBO. So who knows? Cool. Well, maybe.
So did it?
Time will tell.
Did it live? Where would you rate it now? Just
I would say less than I thought it was cool. Not in like a totally like surprisingly like, oh, I thought this was highbrow art. But in the sense that it didn't hold up. Like kind of that fear when you rewatch any movie from when you're a kid. You're like, I hope this isn't kind of stupid. And then when I watched this, I was like, these are kind of stupid.
I think if I had not remembered it as being something it isn't, I would have said, no, it's good. Yeah, because it's definitely enjoyable.
And I think the right mood and the right amount of drinks, it would be fine.
Yeah, I watched 3 of them in a row trying to track down who this bloated, weird stuffed man was in a Barca lounger.
Nice.
And, at no point was I like, this sucks. This is awful.
It's definitely not.
And I can think of a lot of things that people might normally consider way better than this that I would not be willing to sit through and watch.
Totally.
For that long.
So he's disappointment. Not ready to pawn my collection yet, but it doesn't really hold up. My kid will love it one day.
He will. He'll be like, let's make you watch it.
Cool, man. Should we move on then?
Let's do it.
How about your TV selection? TV
in
again, general.
It was an episode of the A-Team. I loved the A-Team as a kid. I have some recollection of trying to convince classmates that Mr. T was my dad for a while. Weirdly, no one believed it.
No.
Yeah. Thought it would be a good icebreaker. But I don't know how I intend to explain my real dad.
It's like, what you talking about, boy?
So,
Your daddy?
Yeah, sorry, Pop. And I assigned a specific episode called Black Day at Bad Rock. Man, it opens with Mr. T in a bad place.
Yeah, it's good that you picked a specific episode too. So yeah, Mr. T is hurting, and it aired I guess February '83 too. To give a time perspective,
good long ways back.
Oh yeah, so this was prime time. This show did really well. It was on for like a lot of seasons, and quick synopsis. Mr. T, this is a weird one because you just come barreling into the action, and he's just in the car. He's been shit on.
He shit his pants.
He's pissed. He's got hit by a 50 cal in the leg, which I think would blow your whole leg off.
It would be bad. But he was exceptionally tough. He his toughness because of the bounce.
And he's pissed, and because face, like, somehow we know it's his fault a little bit, or he's blaming him for it. He's like, I'm not going to let you forget about this. And you killed me. And so they're trying to get into this town. Mr. T's losing tons of blood. They kind of take over this just a house, it seems like. And this lady happened to be a doctor, or maybe a doctor's office. And, a quotable line. They're like, he's losing blood. The only person that has his blood happens to be Murdoch, his arch nemesis. Maybe not.
Slash
Parker,
best buddy.
But yeah, they love each other, and lots of good jokes.
Like, I don't want that crazy blood.
Yeah, he thinks it'll be crazy if he shares blood with him, but he has a crazy blood type. What was it, just like
I think his blood type was T.
Just crazy tea. Iced tea. He's gonna pour it right in there. So anyway, crazy old Murdoch, or they have to always like get permission to get him out of the loony bin
or bust him out.
If you're not familiar with the show, I guess the whole premise too, to further backtrack, is they're just a bunch of mercenaries. What is that?
They served in the Vietnam War and were accused of a crime they did not commit. Because that's the beginning of every episode. And they promptly escaped a maximum security military prison.
So now they just hide out?
Ran to the Los Angeles Underground. If you can find them and you need their help, you might hire
1-800
the A-Team. So the A-Team is a group of Army Rangers who were accused of like robbing a Hanoi bank or something during the withdrawal from
wasn't Hannibal in like World
Vietnam.
War One? Old.
He would have been maybe old enough to have been in World War II. Certainly Korea. And
minor details.
They were accused of the crime. They didn't do it. In the chaos of the withdrawal from Vietnam, that they knocked over a bank.
Nice.
And so they're court-martialed and sent to prison. They didn't do it, so they escaped. The military police are always on their tail. And, they're good guys, and they still want to help, and they only know how to do one thing, and it's be badasses.
Badasses, yeah.
So they got a sweet van.
That catches us up, too.
Yeah.
Thank you, yeah. That was the quick synopsis. So he gets shot in the leg. He's hurting. They call him Murdoch. Great line was, Red Ball 1, bag is leaking. I guess that's code to them.
That's code for somebody needs
Somebody
blood.
got shot in the nuts.
That's true. He got shot in the nuts by a 50 cal.
So I don't know. I felt like I'm right on board with you because I feel like, ATM, I had a small love for him. Not as long as a lot of kids around me. I felt like once we caught on that, like, nobody dies in the show.
You could flip a Jeep 17 times and just get a little scratch on your forehead.
Yeah, it's basically the equivalent to a live-action G.I. Joe episode where tanks get blown up and everyone just jumps out. They run away. Everyone just runs away. Like, being little, military-loving brats that we were like, nobody's dying. This isn't real. So I think we kind of gave up after, like, 2 seasons or something. But But yeah, it definitely hit the huge 12-year-old appeal for sure.
I loved it a lot. Yeah. I had the action figures.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah,
did you have a big black van and everything?
I had a big black man, Mr. T.
Totally.
But I did not.
Did you ever recreate this episode with your action figures?
Oh, sure I did.
You're just come on, Mr. T, you can make it.
I remember, I would get up real early, because even then, I would a lot of times wake up early on the weekends, and I would find any cardboard box I could, and some scissors, and I would just, create a building to sort of approximate the last episode and have that adventure with my action figures. Yeah.
The last episode that you watched, or just the last?
That I watched, yeah. We had just recently moved to North Carolina when it came out. Wow. And I can really distinctly remember that sort of time. Nice. And really loving those action figures. Loving that show.
Well, now they're going.
But
I don't think I ever had any action figures.
It's not... none of them looked like him.
Yeah. Most action figures.
Yeah, they looked like He-Man with different heads.
Even Han Solo. You think if they're ever going to spring for an action figure that would look like he looks like Noel Gallagher or something. Anyway, but yeah, so the quick synopsis of this episode, I guess, they basically get this doctor, they get Murdoch's blood, and they get back on track. There's a quick love interest. Somehow, I don't know why.
Faces all the time.
Yeah, and they get thrown in jail. There's a lot of celebrities though, like the sheriff guy. He was in a bunch of. He always plays like a mad coach, but he isn't coach. He's like a poor man's TV Craig T. Nelson dude. He's just always in horror movies or somebody's coach, and. So yeah, he was familiar, but yeah, I don't know. The whole concept is really out there in an '80s great way, though, where it's just all hell breaks loose. There's a motorcycle gang that gets crossed in. I guess they're the ones that shot him, maybe initially.
They're chasing after him, maybe.
Yeah,
and hell comes to Frogtown.
Yeah, it's just a bad day at Bad Rock.
It really is.
And and there's when they finally get Mr. T back in action, and they cross paths. They a crane lifts up the motorcycles at the. It's a lot of any which way but loose shit going on too. While they're fighting with a motorcycle gang, and there's a weird love interest thing with Hannibal and the doctor that
saves Hannibal. I forgot. Yeah, because he never got to have the love interest.
Yeah, he got it this time. There was a lot of weird searching scenes too, with the cops searching him.
The cops are completely incompetent.
Yeah. And then they trick him. He's the master of disguise. I mean, there's so many little weird points to cover. All of it was just weird. Watching it now, where I could just see if you turn off your rational adult filter, it's totally appealing.
It's so cool.
It's a 12-year-old kid being yeah, this is awesome. They're blowing shit up and tricking the bad guys, But then you're just watching it. It's what? Why would they be smoking cigars in jail? The cops would just be yeah, sit back, relax, have a cigar,
hang out. Let us know we can get you anything.
So they trick the cops, they break out. He has this crazy. That's what I was gonna ask you, as being more of a fan of the show. Was that a crossover with that doctor? Was she because he's all sorry honey, I don't have time for more, and he's smooching her, and she's ooh, oh
no,
my.
there was no
she
never showed up. She never showed up again that I'm aware of.
And so weird.
Yeah,
because the cop was her husband or boyfriend at least, or something, and she's all making out with.
You can't resist John Hannibal Smith. Man, he's the man.
We're saying he's still fat and old, but still sexy.
He always wore not really a trench coat, and sort of stiff black gloves.
Yeah, that was his thing. Face, he wasn't as charming as I kind of remembered either.
Yeah, or as good looking.
He was hi, I'm a
He was better as Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, we should do that sometime.
We should.
I haven't seen that in forever.
Oh, that is another one. That is not what you remember it being.
Yeah, that might fit into this.
It could.
Awesome. Did you watch the remake of this, the movie?
I did.
Was it terrible? I'm feeling it was pretty terrible.
I mean, it's a confusing movie. It's sort of just it jumps around a whole lot and
did they keep it? Did they make it campy like the Brady Bunch, or did they keep it serious?
They kept it more serious. It had a similar tone where there is funny stuff, but there's real action stuff.
They were just
got Liam Neeson, Charlton Copley, whatever his name is, from District 9. Bradley Cooper and Quentin Rampage Jackson in it as Mr. T's character.
Nice.
B.A. Baracus. It is about as good as you would expect it to be.
Not very good.
I remember at the time I had gone to see it, and like a day or two later I heard the NPR review of it, and the reviewer like went out of his or her way. I can't remember who it was. It was like, well, the A-Team is just not a smart movie. And like, it's the fucking A. Like, shit blew up. If you expected it to be smart, you're stupid.
Yeah, they like, because it'd be just as worse if they were like trying to like all of a sudden make it really serious, and it was like,
it
Born
descends.
Identity. All of a sudden, we're just like, we gotta get out of here, man.
It descends into absolute pandemonium at the end. Like they blow up a container ship, and like. It just seemingly endless numbers of shipping containers are exploding and falling, and cranes are falling over. It was a fun watch. I actually just recently rewatched it after assigning you this. I think that.
So that's our
a
equal
fun
to
movie.
maybe.
Yeah,
that would be the exactly what it is. Greater than, less than.
But so in the right sort of frame of mind, in small doses or in snippets. I still think the A-Team is a lot of fun, and I really wish I still had those action figures because my kid would love them. But
that's Ghost. That sounds pretty right on.
But like, if you
From the Crypt,
if you want to watch like multiple episodes, it's tough.
It's a little tough. Yeah.
It's like formulaic does not really describe.
Yeah, that's what I said. There's a lot of like, what the fuck? If any part of your rational brain seeps into like watching it, you're just like, why would they just? Where are the other cops? That was my other thing. It's like there's only like 2 cops in this whole town, and like shit goes down. They're like blowing up every warehouse, fighting these motorcycle dudes, and like shit's like breaking out, like First Blood Rambo style.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is getting serious. It's
like a lot of them are sort of. Like the cops are bad.
Yeah.
Like there's one where Mr. T has to go on the inside of prison to break the prison fight club, gambling circuit and stuff like that. So that makes more sense. But then, like all the other ones, it's like you're the A-Team. Like they don't have to know you're the A-Team. You just trick the real cops into finding out this is happening, and they'll take care of it.
Yeah, it did seem like they're very quick to just be like, all right, boys, let's start blowing this stuff.
And they'll just
like no, you could have just drove out of town.
They'll just like kick open the side of the van with like a fully automatic assault rifle, and just
maybe that was their problem.
Just all over the place. Yeah, maybe the PTSD. They were not okay.
The dude hired them for this mission's like, well, you get what you pay for.
There are fun elements in almost every episode. There's one where Murdoch, like, they always have to come up with some way to get him out of the mental hospital. And like he spends the whole first part of the episode in the hospital, and he just keeps screaming, I need a trash bag, over and over and over until somebody, because this would happen, just gives him a plastic trash bag. And he, meanwhile, has got himself on the barbershop detail at the prison. So once he has enough trash bags, which he's a genius pilot, by the way, that's his thing. He's a pilot and he's crazy. He attaches all the plastic bags to a lawn chair that he has found, and then hooks all of the hair dryers to it, and he uses that as a hot air balloon to lift himself up at approximately 1 foot per second over the fence as the dumbfounded staff watch on helplessly.
How did he do it?
And there's always a fun thing like that. So.
He was definitely at the start of this episode. I was like, wow, he's way dumber than I remembered, and like not like cool. Like I always kind of thought he was like, he's kind of secretly cool, but like. Yeah, but then he kind of won me over again by the end of it. Dude, he does like a chicken dance across like the field to distract somebody. Yeah. And it's just like, what? Who even wrote this? Like just the idea of somebody sitting down at a typewriter going,
he's crazy.
He's crazy. Who knows what he'll do? But it always works out because he's Murdoch. Did he always rhyme everything? That was like big in this episode. He's like, and then Mr. T got his blood. He starts rhyming when he's talking to.
No,
and they're like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't. I'd forgotten they had done that. But yeah, like it was. I think he was just doing it to get into Mr. T's head because he's crazy like a fox. He's wily.
smart.
He's the most sane one of the group.
Oh my goodness. Alright, well, moving on to major motion pictures. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, that's assigned by Gavin to me. Yeah.
And I guess I should disclaimer this one. Well, why? Why was this better than I thought it would? A lot of people would probably love this movie out of the gates. Why would I even doubt such a film? Well, I knew that it was connected to the original Cloverfield, which I don't know if you've seen.
I have. Long
Piece of shit, I thought. That was a horrible fucking movie. I don't even remember why I hated it so much, but I saw it at the Broom View here in Asheville. I had like 2 pitchers of beer, and I still thought it sucked.
It weirdly didn't hold up.
I paid $3, drank 2 pitchers of beer, and still thought it was stupid. I thought it was clever that you can make a movie just by running around with a camcorder going, oh my goodness! And I kind of feel like you eventually saw the monsters.
You never really get to, as I recall, right? you never really get to see it.
Okay, so
it's just like a whole bunch of it's so big. You just see it as kind of go past.
Okay.
So high up you can't really distinctly make it out.
I remember it being like a Godzilla kind of thing almost, right? Like a
it's like a sort of like a movie monster matinee sort of thing. And it's from Bad Robot, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. What was the connection to the first one? Because he didn't direct it or anything. Right?
No, I think it is
the first one. This is
the 10 Cloverfield. I think,
this one he was his production team,
right?
So that's what I was wondering if he had anything to do with the first one. Did he?
I think he did. I think pretty. I can't remember if he directed it or not, but I think he was pretty. For whatever reason,
some kind of producer.
Yeah, it was pretty closely. I find a lot of J.J. Abrams stuff will be a very clever and engaging kind of setup that falls on its face in the last act, where when the air is out of the balloon and you just see what the monster is, you're just like, or Lost ends, and I only ever saw one episode of Lost.
Yeah,
and it was the very last one.
Yeah, that's probably not the one.
Because my wife watched them all, and I was like, I'll watch it with you. And 2 minutes into it, I was like, well, they're all dead.
This is stupid.
This is dumb.
Yeah.
So, and I think. And not all of his stuff, I mean, he's done a good job, I think, sort of revitalizing Star Wars and Star Trek, and there are elements in everything I've seen him in.
Super 8, he did.
Super 8, I thought was good, like a very sort of nice love letter to Steven Spielberg in the early '80s.
Wrote Regarding Henry, which is amazingly weird.
And he's in it.
I love it. Was he in it too?
He's got a real small part in it. He's super duper young. Yeah.
But actually, that was my only connecting, why I would even hint at going to see this. It was a weird scenario where I was like, my wife had a sick day. I was off on Monday, kind of thing, and I was like, well, how sick are you? We never get to go to movies anymore. The kids at daycare. Let's go to a movie. And it was like nothing playing, and then only this movie. But I listened to a podcast where they interviewed J.J. Abrams, I think, and this was pre when Force Awakens came out. So I was in super hypersensitive, is he gonna fuck up Star Wars or not? And I was trying to just research everything that this dude's been attached to, and it was pretty clear he didn't direct this movie, but it was his team, and he kind of coached the dude while even being on the set of Star Wars. So I was like, all right, well, let's see what this has got, and I went into it totally blind, which was great for the movie. And, like it or not, I felt like it totally exceeded my expectations of the crappy Cloverfield movie that technically doesn't have anything to do with, but it's still technically...
I think it's a very...
Technically does have something to do with, but doesn't really...
Right. I think it's a very sort of clever... you could do... because everything wants to be a shared universe now. And, you could do... a million sort of spin-off movies. It's more of a spin-off than a sequel. Like this, that are sort of tangentially related to that sort of... You've established in the first one that a thing happened. And it had something to do with monsters or alien monsters. And to spin it off into this, claustrophobic, trapped in there, and you don't know what's going on. And, and then when you find out that it's not all bullshit and something has happened and it is aliens, it's even
the big crazy idea.
But it's super. It's awesome that you spent the whole first part of the movie with this whole other, actual antagonist.
Yeah.
And,
so yeah, I guess quick version for listeners, if you haven't seen it, whatever the hell, you probably should see it, or if you heard it. This girl, she gets in a car accident, wakes up in a bunker with John Goodman and this other dude.
Some dude.
And you can't tell. He says it's nuclear holocaust, terrorists, could be anything, aliens, we don't even know. But
he's clearly crazy.
Yeah, nobody would even think aliens unless you made the connection with the other Cloverfield movie, I think. So that's why it's kind of cool too, because it's like going into it pretty blind. You're like, well, is it connected to the Cloverfield movie? You don't even really know. And so yeah, it could be anything. He's just a nut from the get go. But so it's a bunker movie, which is pretty awesome. You know? But I guess just handing it back to you. What was your impression? Did you like it? Even was it better?
I really did enjoy it. I feel like it's better than Cloverfield. I remember watching Cloverfield, during a bout of insomnia, and probably in part because of that, and just maybe different taste. I actually enjoyed it.
You liked it?
I found it to be watchable.
Yeah.
Which is not to say it was great or anything, but you don't often go, like we were saying a few minutes ago, like your expectations for what is good or great are sort of different than when you were a kid. And so I found it to be a fairly good watchable movie one time. Like, I have no interest in ever revisiting it, and it does kind of fall apart a bit at the end. But I thought this was a better movie. Like, the cast is good. Yeah. They're good together. The woman in it, Winstead, I think. She's been in a ton of shit. She's in Sky High with Kurt Russell. And the
Mary
kid
Elizabeth Winstead.
She's
not a Weinstein.
She's a native of North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from Rocky Mount, maybe.
Wow.
But she was in Sky High with Kurt Russell and John Travolta's wife.
Scott Pilgrim movie.
She's in Scott Pilgrim.
That was the only thing that drove me crazy. I was like, where have I seen this chick before? And that was the only thing.
Yeah, she's in the Thing prequel. The prequel to John Carpenter's The Thing. Cool. I mean, and none of them are necessarily great movies. But she's, or did super well, but she's pretty good in all of them.
Yeah. I was blown away by her. And part of it, I just thought she was like super beautiful and good acting. Where I was just like, it was such like a subtle thing where I was like, usually I'm like, wow, she's really awesome. Like, I don't know why, but it was like captivating in a sense that you don't normally see in like some kind of movie like that in particular, because it does kind of almost fall into like a horror movie thing for me. That's like, I don't really want to see some chick just get like locked in a basement. Like, I've never seen a Saw movie and have no urge to ever see it. It just seems like, oh god. But yeah, I thought she was great, and she's going to be in the new, or I guess is in the current Fargo season, which I love the TV show. But I haven't seen the one that's airing now with Ewan McGregor, and I think she's in that. So.
Oh man!
So, yeah, hopefully she's taken up, because I think she's great.
Also has a bit of a recording career.
Really?
Yeah. I cannot remember the name of her album. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think she's amazing. She sold it. I thought she's just like right amount of like cool, but not like snarky, but like panicky without being.
It's very cool when she's like, I could totally use that shower curtain.
It's a lot of good, like, and I think a lot of it too is probably more the directing. I think this dude, it's crazy. It was his first movie. This guy did this.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, I guess the apprentice of J.J. Abrams or something, almost to the point of like a young dude. He'd done some TV stuff, I think maybe, but this is like. And that was the podcast I listened to. It was like him and J.J.
Cool.
I don't even remember. Probably Nerdist or something. But like,
J.J. Abrams' ex-houseboy.
Yeah, so maybe. But it was cool. And they just talked about like, and that's what I loved. And I guess the first movie would fall into that, like the other Cloverfield one. I just love any movie that uses a great like no budget. Like to make a good, Clerk style or something, but like just the fact that it was like you can make this a play almost. It was like a bunker.
You absolutely could.
You really had nothing until the end, which we'll get to. But for the most part, it's just like one scene. You could basically. But I mean, just the way they shot everything, and he talked about how like the initial car wreck, all they did was like shake the car back and forth and stuff. But it looks like so like. If you work things right, it's like crazy what we can do with like talent and imagination. But so yeah, it was like those little things where I'm like, man, this is like could have been such a piece of crap movie, but like And John Goodman saved it. I don't know how you feel about him in general, but I love him.
He's great in it, yeah.
Yeah, he was so cool. I thought, like, he's one of those dudes, like, I don't know, I never would see a movie just because John Goodman's in it, but when you think about, like, aside from, like, Babe and maybe that one where he's, like, a movie theater guy or something.
And King Ralph.
Yeah, King Ralph. 3 out of, like, a lot of movies. He's been pretty awesome in pretty much everything, so... But he's fucking killed it in this. Like
he's really good. I think he uses sort of that, what he usually, like, sort of, the toolbox he usually uses for comedic shtick, like the being loud and the being a big guy and beefy and all that, reactionary. He uses the same sort of tools to just be fucking crazy and scary.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and I love that he, like, that's pretty much my bottom, like, that hit me in the heart when I was watching this, and then when I rewatched it, I was like, I just love that it was like a type of scary that, like, is real in a sense of, like, you didn't know when she was down there, like, they did such a good job of, like, is he just a fuck? Because he was just crazy shit. No matter what the scenario was, was he like a conspiracy theorist, like nut that just had a bunker, or is there like really some shit really that went down? But then it's like pretty much ultimately he's crazy and this shit happened. Yeah, and then she's just like, oh, God,
and they do a great job of like balancing it out because I knew that the two were definitely linked, Cloverfield and Cloverfield Lane, going into it. So I knew that. At some level, his story, even if it just ended up being he heard something happen in New York and freaked out.
Something for real was going on out there.
Yeah. So, and you can believe, thanks to her performance and his, and the sort of being stuck in this little bunker, you can believe that maybe nothing really is happening. Maybe this is.
And they did a great job of it not being too like. Shining claustrophobic where you didn't really get like the feeling that she was down there that long, right? And so I mean it was kind of like pretty much from like the first night she's kind of like, what the fuck's up, this dude's obviously a creep, but then she gets convinced and then some time passes, but you don't really know how much even, and you still kind of get the feeling it's like a week at the most, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's all that long. Like, I mean, maybe their hair gets a little longer there, so maybe it's a little longer, but not forever.
Yeah, and there's like little clues. That's like the great like Alfred Hitchcock side of it, or like Black Mirror in a sense, where it was like there was like moments where even you as a watcher, audience member, or whatever, but like you go back and forth. Where like, well, clearly he's fucking nuts and he's a creep, but you don't know if he's a pervert, just nuts, or is he just nuts and all this shit's going on, and you know, and
then you find out. It's pretty much as bad as it could possibly be, and it's couched in this horrible world apocalypse.
Yeah, and there's like a couple of key scenes that were like just great that I loved. Were one, his wording, just like the script must have been great for it, but just John Goodman's delivery of like when he's initially introducing her, he's like, "We have an assortment of films and VHS cassettes." And then, like, after they get to the first, whatever the hell the problem, I guess it was when she unclogged the vent or whatever, and, like, he's like, man, problem solving just puts me in the musical mood.
Oh my god, that's one of my favorite parts, because as soon as he said that, he turns on the jukebox and he starts doing his dance where he's, like, bouncing his ass up in his head, and you see it from straight behind. It's only for a second, it's hilarious. But because you know he's nuts, you're like, that's not funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. None of it's, like, super over the top. They didn't, like, have his ass hanging out or anything, you know? It was just, like... Oh man, and even like Emmett, the other character, he's like this other dude about the same age, and he's stuck down there with him, and he's dumb, but he's not like absurd dumb, right? You know? Right. And he's like kind of alright, but like initially you could tell she's just like, oh fuck, I'm stuck with this guy too, and he's just trying to make jokes and takes everything on face value, but then like she discovers that, you know, the scratching of help inside and everything, and like. And he's like, fuck, and they get on board, and spoilers, obviously, like everything we talked about, he gets blasted in the face. That was pretty out of nowhere.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god. And again, I knew, because I'd seen somewhere, or maybe heard in another podcast, that he kills him. and shoots him. But it took me by surprise. I just did not expect it in that
surprise
moment.
Shooting. It's great because that's how life is.
Yeah.
But same time, anytime that happens in a movie, I'm like, oh, God.
I just didn't expect it.
Yeah. You feel bad because you've already at that point got endearing to him, And it's like,
you're like, oh, he's not a bad guy.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty much fucking game over at that point. She's like, all right, fuck you, and makes the suit. She gets out, and then the ultimate twist at the end of the movie. I thought, how'd you feel about it? I was just talking about that to Casey, my wife, again. Right before, alright, she fucking kills John Goodman, gets out of
the bunker. She goops him with acid. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. But awesome, because, it turns out he's been, he kidnapped a girl and killed her. And so he's like a psycho.
Yeah.
Not his daughter that you would initially think, because he talks about his,
no,
daughter.
But, his stolen surrogate, or
whatever. Just like a random girl in town.
Oh.
And so, it got creepy, and she just was like, oh my God. And eventually gets out, though, so she's able to break loose and has a suit that she made out of shower curtains that she was working on with the guy. Breaks out, last second, and then blows up the fucking John Goodman and everything's good, but she's not sure if she can breathe out in the world. Then, will she take her mask off or just
she tears the suit, she freaks out and tapes it up, but something makes her think, well, I've
made it this far.
And she takes it off and she's fine.
Yeah.
But then...
And that's probably my favorite line in the movie, because after all this shit, breaking out of a bunker with John Goodman and another dude, getting people covered in acid, and then the fucking UFO shows up above you, and she goes, oh, come on.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what everyone's thinking, an hour, 40 into this movie, and you're just like, oh, really?
And the look on her face is great. I feel like it's exactly what anybody would really... Where she's just you have got to be fucking shitting me. Yeah, this thing comes swooping down. They're trying to exterminate, and these creatures and stuff, I guess, the thing that was in Cloverfield.
They seem a little shorter, because I thought they were Godzilla's and shit.
Yeah, well, I think in Cloverfield there are smaller ones that come off of the larger one, parasites. I don't know. Yeah. But they're just biological weapons almost. I mean, they're there to sort of raise the planet.
Did you feel it went too long after that? As a whole, because it is and then it just turns into an action movie. But it is as concise as you could make it. But it's an extra 15 minutes after the movie's over. She's blown up John Goodman, escape. And then it's and I normally fucking hate that in a movie, or it's just all right, the movie's over. What do we really
I could have done without the ship, which apparently is mostly a creature in a flying thing, harness of some sort.
Takes up the car.
Takes up the car, and it's got this big fucking lobster beak or squid mouth thing going on. And she Molotov cocktails it, and apparently they're somehow really flammable because it explodes.
Yeah, I saw some things online. I was whiskey. It was just a whiskey bottle. It wouldn't blow up like that. But whatever.
I think you could have done with she's outside. The car starts making noise. The ship flies around. It releases the gas. She sees a creature. It comes for her. She gets out. You could cut out all the car getting picked up and shit.
Yeah, because she kind of blows up maybe not the mothership, but a Star Destroyer version.
Yeah,
it's a pretty epic ship.
Yeah, it's maybe not killing the Death Star, but it's.
But it is kind of funny that it's so over the top too. That's what I was trying to say to Casey. I was just kind of it's what the fuck? This chick is just been through so much and already gotten out, and then she gets in a tractor beam as it's getting pulled up. She throws a fucking whiskey bottle with a flame in it and blows the thing up. Is able to get out, and then
I think that part would have worked if at that point, for whatever reason, you could just see she was just that. That's it, because they make a point in the story of saying, she says, when things get bad, I quit or I run away. And I think that it would almost be sort of the same. Ultimately what happens is she starts catching radio traffic on the way out in the car that she has found. That says, people are alive in Houston. We need your help. And she decides to run to the trouble instead of away.
But the resistance.
And so she's sort of changed as a person. She's not running away or giving up anymore. But I feel it would almost be the same if she just stayed in the car and resigned herself to her fate of being annihilated. Just saying, well, I'm not running away from this anymore.
Give her the benefit of the doubt of changing.
So I think that
she could have just killed an alien on foot.
I think that that sort of over the top scene would have worked if she got like eaten.
Yeah,
or whatever.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah. But you could have cut out that whole part and just gone straight to her in the car.
As far as a twist at the end, I mean, like you're saying, it's tough because if like you have the Cloverfield connection, you kind of know some alien shit might happen. There's like a good chance it might happen, and but like, what other option could there have been as a good twist? Like if she gets out, kills John Goodman, but you still want to put a twist at the end, like like it wouldn't have really been any cool. Like Casey was like, it shouldn't have been aliens. She was just kind of on the Kingdom of Crystal Skull boat of like, I just don't want to see aliens. It just made it stupid. But it was like, well, what else would it have been if it was like terrorists? It would have been stupid and like
Koreans.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little too serious. So it's just like, it just turns into Red Dawn at that point. Like what the hell else did he? Where were you thinking? I mean, I think it was just good because the movie you didn't really know where the fuck it was going to go up until that point, and then when it says aliens, it's like, all right.
See, I don't know that any other ending. Like, because if she just comes up and everything's fine, and it was all
and that was kind of just
like the woman who she sees through the window who she thinks dies, maybe
how could they explain that?
Maybe she's just in on it, or something like that, or and there's nothing. I mean, I don't know what other choice you
that would have just made it like any serial killer movie,
right? And anything else would have been essentially the same thing, like anything that it was, aliens or
Koreans. I feel like they kind of had to make it over the top, even by like her blowing up the mothership or whatever. It was like you can't even just have one alien. It had to be something so absurd that it was like, fuck this. She had to like take down the whole ship before like driving off. But I don't know. I don't know what. So that's probably why they went with it, because there is no real.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's alt endings or anything.
I guess maybe she could get out. And they could set sort of the stage for you to think, it's ending, and now she's finding out it was just all horse shit. Like maybe the woman's not there at all in any way, and the pig carcasses aren't there, and everything seems absolutely fine, and it's perfect. And she gets back in the car and starts driving, and then she starts picking up the radio traffic that something horrible has happened, and they're here, and you never see the aliens, and it's still just very sort of an oblique reference to, because they could be anything, and you just know if it's related to Cloverfield.
That would have been good.
That would have been good. And then she turns towards the trouble.
Ending where and then the Terminator comes up and says, like, I'm here to save you.
There's like an Inception.
Just like crossover every movie. Like, what? Spider-Man's in the backseat.
It's like,
hey guys, watch out for Ultron.
The Crypt Keeper's sitting next to him.
And then Hugh Grant pops up.
Yes.
And he apologizes, because that's what Hugh Grant
He's like, never show up empty-handed.
Yes. So moving on to a much later film.
Yes, I assigned Gavin a movie called Music and Lyrics from before 2010.
2007. I was surprised it was that long ago.
Yeah, that's sort of hard to believe. Because Drew Barrymore looks exactly the same. That's weird.
Hugh Grant looks exactly
the same. They've both been dipped in wax.
And through a lot.
Yes. Yes, it's called Music and Lyrics. As far as I know, at least in my perception, it's a direct-to-video thing. Maybe it had a theater release.
I think it's pretty good.
Oh, really?
Maybe not like a huge blockbuster by any name, but I honestly feel like if a category or if a whole episode was meant to fit into the, it's better than I thought, this movie totally fits. And like it comes with a lot of, fucking caveats and shit.
Yeah. I mean, it is not, like, I wouldn't just like balls out and be like, oh, that's a good movie, great movie.
Yeah, great enough.
It's not, but I remember,
give it a chance, it's really awesome.
My wife wanted to rent it. It was right after we got, we had just gotten like an Amazon Prime account where she's like, oh, we can rent stuff on here. I was like, oh, that's cool, what do you want? And she was like, oh, let's watch this. And, I'm not really great at being gracious or nice. But I was trying, so I was like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. And I just went and got a book, and I was like, I'm not going to pay attention to this. And within the first couple minutes of the movie, there is a pretend 80s music video, and I just put my book down, and I was just like, whoa, what? And it sucked me in right from that point forward.
Too, yeah. And I mean, it is definitely like it's weird because they don't do like 80s over the top in the way like Wedding Singer is, where like the whole movie's like a joke and punning on it. Right. But it's like the quick premise, I guess, is that it's a 80s dude, current day, everything takes place, but he's like kind of washed up, but still in the biz.
He was in, say, an Aha or a Wham type.
I think
group.
Wham was the one they were definitely like tapping into, but definitely like Aha, all those kind of like enough to be relevant for like
briefly.
Yeah. And he gets offered to write a song for a current day pop singer. And because he writes stuff now, works more kind of behind the scenes, but still struggling playing the music parts and shit, which is pretty amazing. But
for like aging former groupies,
yeah, what you see, it's pretty true. It's pretty accurate. You see like at Busch Gardens and Kings Dominion, you'll see like some band playing. It's like, oh god, that's gonna be so
so sad.
But anyway, so he's got to write this song and. And of course, in true romantic comedy fashion, Drew Barrymore's just there to water the plants.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not clicking with the lyricist. He's writing the melodies on the piano, and then
he never was the words man.
Yeah. And she just starts humming along. Next thing you know, bam! They strike up a couple good lines. The other dude's out. He's kind of pursuing her quick to get the lyrics, and wackiness ensues.
That's right.
And maybe a little romance.
Perhaps a little love.
So while the actual story is predictable as fuck, like the peak and the whatever, there's going to be a hard time. Somebody's going to find out something and say something
betrayed. Yeah.
So, I mean, all of that goes...
Hugh Grant will have like a love speech.
Yeah. There's definitely some negatives to be said, but where does it strike in a positive way? Because I felt like there's definitely a few moments where it's like, wow, this could have just been any shitty romantic comedy movie, but it did really kind of hit a few things that made it better than you would think it would be, which fits this perfectly. What was the part that you...
I really, they did a stellar job. The sort of feel like again, like you said, they don't, it's not like The Wedding Singer where it's just like a million overt references to 80s stuff. Take off my band t-shirt before you ruin and stuff like that. It's not that kind of
hairdos.
Right, it's not that. It's just they did such a great job of that song. Pop Goes My Heart, I think it is, isn't it? Fall in love again.
Because the initial video that Craig's talking about, they kick it off with what would have been Hugh Grant's band, like a Wham style band in the 80s, like the actual video. Yeah. And they do a great job because they do kind of combine the footage of the slow-mo stagger. Yeah. There's the checkered rooms and everything is pretty fucking... And the song was great because and that was a huge plus for me where right off the bat I was going into it, I was like, if I ever doubted anything, but I'm supposed to doubt it, so that's the point. And I'm like, why the fuck am I watching this movie? And then it totally reassured me. I saw music credits in the beginning. Adam Schlesinger did the music, and he's the dude from Fountains of Wayne, which I loved, and he's done a couple movies where he did That Thing You Do and shit.
Yeah.
So but he wrote all those dudes' songs and shit. So it's crazy how much of a difference that makes when it's just dude can write a
They
pop
did a
song,
great job. They sort of were able to catch the essence of 80s without just directly copying something, without making a bunch of stupid jokes directly related to, or having overblown stupid hair and stuff. And they just did a good job. And I don't even particularly like Hugh Grant or Drew Barrymore, but for whatever reason they just kind of seemed believable in those roles. And she's got a sister played by the woman from Third Rock from the Sun.
It was great. I love that chick. She's
and the sister's husband is maybe the dude from Everybody Loves Raymond or something.
He's the manager?
maybe so. Yeah. And
he's
like
Grant's manager,
yeah, and they just have like they've got just sort of like funny little character pieces for them, and they're kind of likable, and I mean the songs. It helps the songs are catchy and sort of even the last song, which I can't remember that. I remember the "Pop Goes My Heart" song. It was
something about the main one or the credit song.
The song he plays at the end with the love for the Drew Barrymore in it.
Sorry. It's like the few like complaints, but still add to the endearing factor of the movie was is that Hugh Grant like apologize in every movie?
Yes, there's always
all he does is
believe that I've done this and I'm very sorry.
And it seems like a lot of them he's doing it on a stage with a song. For him, it's not a singer. He's like always like
a spotlight on him.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is embarrassing, but I better do this. Oh, it's just a publicity, but I was just thinking
that's his thing.
Even about a boy, it was like that wasn't even in the book, but they wrote in him an apology song at the end of the book. It's just like everything with Hugh Grant. Maybe we're just so used to him apologizing
for something
totally horrible
in
shit.
Real life or
but he's a weird dude. He's like from that era of like Harry Connick Jr. You should do the Harry Connick biopic. I don't know why that just popped in my head, but yeah, we loved like Four Weddings and a Funeral growing up. Like, and I do have a soft spot for romantic comedy, so maybe this hit me a little better than most people. If you're like, no, seriously, check it out. Like, it hurt. I'm always like, yeah, I like a good rom-com. Why not?
I mean, I feel like it's any sort of genre. Like, sometimes they're good.
If it's done
sometimes
right, exactly. Yeah. Made in Manhattan with Jeff.
Who doesn't
not
love
so
Made in
good.
Manhattan?
That one didn't work.
I mean, like a lot of them are just sort of like the same old hack type stuff.
And even this one, I felt like it was like the ending was like, crap, he's gonna play a song.
Of course.
But at the same time, they did it well enough.
They kind of earned getting to that point. I thought, through the movie. Yeah, and again, like
it's watching the Patriots win a Super Bowl.
That's all. Of course.
Well, here we go.
They're only down 24. You guys are not. You're not going to keep them down.
That might be my first legitimate sports analogy I've ever used.
Man.
That's the only time. That was accurate, right? The Patriots win Super Bowls.
Sports. Yes.
Okay.
Even when it looks like they're going to lose.
I was going to say Redskins, but they haven't won anything in a while.
Not in a while.
It's like watching But like, and it's strangely enough though, like, because I feel kind of similar towards the careers of Drew Barrymore and Hugh Grant, where like I like some of their stuff. They both made like probably heaps of shit I fucking could care less about. Not even so much hate, I don't know, hatred, but I just like,
why would you want to watch it? Yeah.
But both of them made some good stuff, E.T., Four Weddings and a Funeral. Everything else, everything in between wasn't so great.
Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
That's one. Don't get me started on Charlie's Angels. But I thought they were on the same page with that at least, and there's some initial good. Oh, my favorite part was actually Cora, the chick that they're writing the song for. Is like this young pop chick that's totally in the vein of a Britney Spears, whatever, and I just love that like music industry side of like where she's just like, hello, I need a song. She's just like a robot basically. And like they just kept her like, all right, cool, what do you want to all right, and then like they slave of this song, they write it for her. And the funniest fucking part I thought was like they're on like a building and a helicopter's landing and they're finally giving her the song that she wanted in like 24 hours or some ridiculous time span, and she's like, okay, let's listen to it now. They put it on and they just make them stand there in silence. And I think that's like just creepy and hilarious when anyone does that, even like your friends, like just like, hey man, like having written a bunch of songs and stuff, I've never put hopefully anybody in that situation like, listen to my new song. And then you just like put it on the car or something. Oh, it's so awkward. It's like one of the top 10 most awkward things you can do to somebody is like especially if like you're listening with headphones and they're like just sitting there, like
oh, that would be excruciating.
Have I been shouting the whole time? Sorry, I pulled that.
No, my ears got sweaty.
But
for all the hot talk.
But I love that, like just like the idea of like they're just like And then he starts to make small talk, maybe, and then they're just like, no. She's just like, all right. And then she's like, I love it. This will be my next single. She just like walks off. And then she like dumps it up by putting like Indian music all over it. And it's like, but like, and that's where it got stupid to me, where like Drew Barrymore's like, but you're the one that's supposed to have artistic integrity and like, but like even me as a musician, I'm like, fuck, who cares, man? Fucking give her the money. Get the money. Who cares?
Let her do what she wants.
Yeah, it's like, who cares? Like, obviously it's gonna be a dumb song. You're giving it to her. You know, you wrote it in like 15 hours together or whatever. And it's like, but you know, that's the sweet side where she. Even though she's not the musician, she got like kind of just pulled into his world. Mm-hmm. She was able to balance out what is artistically important, and then ultimately he's able to convince Cora that she should keep the song as like a really dull pop song, which probably would have been better if she just did it as like a Indian pop song where she's shaking her ass all over the floor, in my opinion.
in my humble opinion.
But all of a sudden, in the end, they're playing on the electric piano, the Doogie Howser sound. Find my way back. Was it Find My Way Back to Love?
Yes, Find My Way Back to Love.
Find My Way Back to Love.
Yeah, that song's not good.
yeah. It's a hit. It sounds like a pop hit.
At the very end, in the credits, there's like a pop-up video.
Yeah. That was nice to do it in the style of pop-up video. And
everybody gets a hip replacement, as I recall.
Yeah, and it was kind of a nice modern way. I feel like nobody does this anymore. Remember in the 80s, they'd always do like the... during the credits, are like, Tony went on to win 3 Grammys, but then be eaten by a shark. Kind of like I think it worked with Animal House and Nothing Else. Yeah, and then like every movie tried
it would kind of give you like the follow up,
like the whole fucking lifespan of like every character.
1987.
Yeah, it's like boom, boom, especially if it's a comedy. It's always weird. So like. Goofball went on to be the president of, Apple Music, but and then got eaten by a shark.
And then it'd be like a real short sentence in the end, and be like, he never grew pubes.
Yeah, twice. It's like, what? It's like, nah, we'll never have to make a sequel to this. Great. Maybe that's what they should do, because they make sequels to everything now, so maybe they should get back to doing that.
Yeah.
And we could just be like, Spider-Man went on to
win
the secret wars and fight many battles.
He just decided that being Spider-Man was dumb.
That all those bitches and dumb Venom costumes weren't worth it. But, so I don't know. Should we move on to our drinks and recap this sucker?
Let's do it. All
right. I think those are great choices that we didn't even, once again, mean to sync up with 2 TV shows that were worse than we thought. 2 movies that we thought were better than
I will say that neither of your choices was like horrible or anything, but I would agree with your sort of assessment of one being not as good.
Yeah.
You remember it, and the other being better than you thought it would be.
So it matched up, and I'm totally on the same page with you. I was like, all right, 18. Yeah, I had some love as a kid. Didn't quite get there.
Doesn't really carry over.
Didn't hate it. It was fun in a campy way, and music and lyrics, like I said, damn. If there was ever a movie, I'd be like, this is going to be terrible.
So you see the box and you're just like...
So, I mean, a lot of it was like setting the bar low, Yeah. But that's what we were going for, and somehow we synced it up. So how have your drinks been cheating you?
Not bad at all. It is... Like, Kahlua is a coffee and rum sort of liqueur, right? Yeah. It tastes sort of weirdly chocolatey, like chocolate milky to me. Yeah. Maybe that's just what you get when you mix vodka and coffee.
So it's like a grown man having a cocktail in middle school lunch.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like they're probably only sort of well known and liked nowadays because of the dude.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't remember anybody really drinking them before that.
It must have been there, yeah. But yeah, that was my introduction. Maybe it's just our age frame, and like I was like, yeah, we can give that a shot. It looks delicious. If any movie made him look good, I was like, it's all his beard and shit.
Yeah,
it's gotta be good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they're tasty. Like I would not want to. You might have noticed that there's no slurring. Yeah. I would not want to get drunk on White Russians. Like, at least not not deliberately.
That's a tough one because I've done it. And
I just feel like it would
a belly full of milk is
ugh.
almost as bad as
Yeah, that's not. And the Rex Goliath.
Oh, well, it's a it's a shitty wine. I'll tell you that, but I love it. It's weird. Of a lot of the shitty ones. It's funny.
I have this last sip here.
Yeah, go for it. So, it's weird because it's like it's. I want to like give it praise because it is a $5 bottle of wine. For that, it is worthy of 65 gold medals, as the label says.
It says 65 gold medals in the $5 category.
And I think they're probably aware of that and cool with that, And it's like there are many $5 bottles of wine that you drink, and you kind of force your way through it, and then you start to feel like weird pains in your forehead and stuff, and
like death.
But like I'll probably feel it tomorrow, but like tonight I'm just drinking pretty much this whole bottle, and I think the key is drinking that first glass real fast. And then
just prime the pump quick.
I love red wine, but I'm definitely no connoisseur or anything. But but I feel like I love it all. I mean, it's probably okay. I guess I'm just a raging alcoholic. but I'll just drink it. I'll appreciate a much finer red wine, and I think they probably know that too. But I think this is a good one.
I do not have at all a discerning palate.
Yeah.
I prefer red and wines.
Yeah.
Dry wines as opposed. I don't like white wines, especially when they're really sweet.
Yeah.
It grosses me out.
Yeah, like a Riesling's like sweet, or even just a sweeter
like
regular
Riesling.
white.
Yeah. But even like a Chardonnay will be sweet in comparison.
Yeah.
The red wines I seem to like more. I don't have a discerning palate. If we did a taste test, I would not be able to rank them adequately, in terms of quality.
Yeah.
But I feel like what this is lacking that more expensive.
This is us getting all wine.
More expensive wines seem to have is I always feel like when someone's like, you should have this. It's kind of an expensive bottle, but it's really good. You should try it.
Yeah.
It tastes as good or bad as this to me, but there's this thing almost like your tongue gets coated, kind of a quality with a better red wine, and this one is more just like something that's going
just driving on down.
Yeah,
just get it in you real quick.
Yeah, it's sort of a needle gun quality as opposed to a coat quality.
Yeah, that's true.
But maybe it's my imagination. I don't trust my palate at all.
That's very more accurate than talking about the smoky barrels and shit that isn't even actually in it.
Yeah.
It's like a lamb.
I feel like it's
on a hill. Running fast.
I think it's got an owl's downy butt in it.
Yeah. But a lot of cheaper bottles of wine, or affordable bottles of wine, I guess we should say, so we can reference Rex Goliath as a drinkable great wine, is that a lot of them they have that thin, shitty, fruity taste, and it just you feel it in your forehead and your throat, and it doesn't taste that great. With old Rexy, Sexy Rexy, as I like to call it over here.
Yeah,
I feel like
they should put out one called.
You get that kind of dry, especially with the Merlot one. I like the ones that have this weird jaw that pops. And I can always feel good red wine in the cracks of my jaw.
Whoa!
And there's definitely finer red wines that make my jaw feel real nice. But this one kind of gets in there a little bit, and it's a little drier.
You're
and they say bold, and I take the bold, but I don't take the fruity side of it as much because I try to actually look up and see if I can have some historical tidbits to throw out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of their charm. I guess they're just
nope.
It started in 2002, I think, in San Francisco is where they're based out of now, but it's a California, just straight up whatever California wine. But their whole webpage, everything's just based on the logo of the 47-pound rooster that followed in the Texas circus, and it's just all about the history of this goofy ass big rooster that's on the label. It's this award-winning rooster. It's and that's what's on the label too, yeah. But as far as our wine, who knows, whatever.
HRM Rex Goliath the Legend. At the turn of the century, HRM, His Royal Majesty, Rex Goliath was a treasured circus attraction. Weighing in at 47 pounds, Rex was billed as the world's largest rooster. Our wines are a tribute to Rex's larger-than-life personality, with big, fruit-forward flavors sure to please. soft, supple, and complex. Our Merlot has something for everyone and goes great with just about any cuisine.
Damn, I'll be on board with that.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Rexy.
And I
mean, it's more of an endorsement of the rooster than the wine, but
yeah.
I think the wine does match that. It's it's still just a giant rooster. But
I think we all know a rooster is best used once it's pretty old, and for chicken and dumplings. And I would drink this while eating chicken and dumplings, and probably enjoy it. We should make chicken and dumplings at the beach and try it together.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Beach episode coming up soon, guys.
It is coming up soon.
But I guess for now, we'll just say, Rexy, I would love it if they put one drop of Rex's blood in every bottle.
Yes.
That would be rad. But maybe
he is the Jesus of roosters. He's 47 pounds. He's got to be a lot.
Yeah, I think I still got him, right?
Yeah, he's still kicking.
But, yeah. So, I don't know. Rexy, if you need a $5 to $6 bottle of wine, I think that's the way to go.
Give it a shot.
And actually, which is a quick side note that might get edited out, I don't know. I went to get a bottle of Rex today and only could find the giant bottle, the big one.
Oh, man.
I was like, I just want
I don't want to commit.
It's like, I mean, I will, but I just feel like this keeps happening to me constantly. The other day I was trying to buy some red stripes and I was like, I just want a 6-pack to go with this like Jamaican style chicken. It was like at Ingles, they only had the 12-pack. And I was like, why is everyone trying to get me to drink more than I need to? It's like, because I'll do it, but I'm just trying to keep this shit together, you know? But like, the world's forcing me to buy it. It's like
they want me to buy this.
It's like I live in Pennsylvania or something. It's like, I don't want to buy 12 beers. I just want to buy 6 cheap beers. What the fuck? But anyway. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys. I think hopefully you're on board with our greater than, less than, or equal to's. And feel free to throw your own suggestions out on the Facebook thread of things that maybe you grew up with or tried recently that, weren't as good as you thought. Or things that you love and now you're like,
not so good. And, if you listened and you liked it, then tell somebody about it.
Yeah, spread the word. We want to get suggestions on things and include you guys as much as possible.
That's right. So write in.
Subscribe on iTunes.
Stop us at the grocery store.
Track us down. Hang out at our houses.
Don't kill our families.
But just sleep in our basement.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of mixed messages there, I know.
That's right.
We want you to come closer to us, but not too close.
That's right.
But on that note, thanks so much. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and to Instagram and email us at thepretendpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget because we are a title.
That's right. If you don't put the in there, you're going to get a whole other...
It's going to get weird,
It's a weird website. Some strange stuff happening there.
Until next time, we'll catch you soon.
I'm Craig.
And so long, lizard breath. I forgot to mention, that was a line, one of the witty lines from 18. I was like, oh, that'd be a good closer. So long, lizard breath.
Good night.
Staggers and sways, the daggers delayed from your heart. Sorry to be so bluntly the same.